Hey everybody, it's Brandon Gustafson. Welcome back to another live coaching session here. For today's topic, we're going to be getting into how to effectively handle interruptions that come up in your day. This is a problem I think many people deal with, especially now that we're working from home consistently, and I want to talk about that, how to handle them and how to confront them and even plan for it as you go about your day. Before we dive into the topic, though, I want to remind you to get over to the website, brandongustafson.com. If you go to brandongustafson.com/5P as in Paul, you'll be able to get access to the free guide, the 5 Ps to effective personal development. That's going to help you out on your journey. You'll also get added to an email list, an email newsletter that will give you a weekly tip and trick around how to be more productive, how to get you on your personal development journey and help you out through the process. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified every time we do one of these live coaching sessions. And that way you can kind of interact with me as we go through it, and you can ask me questions, and we can make this an even better situation for you as you go through your personal development journey. Because at brandongustafson.com, we are here to help you transform your life your way. Now let's get into the topic. Again, we are talking about how to deal with interruptions when they come up in your day. And this is something, as I mentioned, that everybody I think has to deal with in this world that we live in, where we have phones that have notifications all the time and we work from home so consistently. It's very easy for us to fall into the trap of having a conversation and getting lost in something that we shouldn't be spending our time on. Not that it's not an important thing, not that it's something that we necessarily shouldn't be doing, but it's something that is distracting us from the thing that is most important and the thing that we should be working on. So that's just the reality of it. I mean, I'm going to use an example this morning actually. So right now we have to live with my parents. I had a business that failed. We had to sell my house, and so we're just kind of trying to figure things out from that perspective. And so we're living at my parents' home, and so I'm in my office and coming up upstairs to get into my office to get some work done, and I'm on the phone. I'm having a conversation with one of the administrators at one of my assisted living facilities, and my mom, this sounds horrible. I shouldn't have to say this, but my mom is like, hey, I've got to tell you something. And I'm like, I'm on the phone. I'm in a meeting right now. I'm going to the doctor. Sounds good, Mom. Thanks. Like those types of little interruptions are things that if I had been in something that was a little more time sensitive and something I needed to focus on rather than just a little tiny phone call. It's not that big of a deal. But those types of little tiny interruptions, and I get this with my kids when they come home from school and those types of things, where I'm in a meeting or I'm working on a task and I'm trying to get something done and they need help with their homework, or they want to just come in and just sit with me and talk about nothing in particular. And it can be frustrating when you're dealing with that because it's so hard to get back into the flow of focus. In fact, there are studies done that show that it will take you about 23 minutes and 15 seconds if you are in focus doing something and you have an interruption that comes into your space as you're working on something. That's going to take you 23 minutes and 15 seconds to get back into the flow. That's a lot of time. And in a world where we work from home, and especially when we have our phones that have all these notifications all the time, and if you've got like a watch like this and you're getting notifications on a consistent basis, that's a lot of interruptions that are going to kind of keep you out of flow and make it so you're not as effective with the work that you're doing. So you just want to be aware that that's something that's happening, that you're going to have these interruptions, number one, and when you have them, it takes you a long time for you to get back in the flow of working on the things that you need to be working on, that you should be focusing on. So how do we combat that? That's a good question, something that I wanted to get into. Number one is going to be planning for interruptions, and you do that through buffer time. So as an example, I work from home, and I know that my daughter, I have a daughter that's in kindergarten and I have another daughter that's in fourth grade. So I know that my daughter typically is getting home around 11:30 from kindergarten. And so if I want to see her and talk to her about her day and not have her come in and run in while I'm focused on something, I need to plan a buffer time around that 11:30 period so that when she gets here, I can go out and talk to her and see how she's doing and talk to her about her day and have a good time. My daughter that's in fourth grade, she gets here, I would say around 2:30 I think. I can't remember exactly, but so the same thing. I'm going to buffer that in. I'm going to, when I know I have like a gap in time, and if I know my wife wants to talk to me about something, I'm going to go and go down and talk to her. I'm going to carve out a time where I can go and be with her for 15, 20 minutes, however long that conversation needs to be, and have that conversation. So that buffer time, building it in, is going to allow you to avoid those interruptions that come from your family when you're working from home, because you're going to have time that's dedicated to them, so they're not going to feel like they have to come interrupt you. I also have a rule in my office: when the door is closed, that means I'm in a meeting or I'm in something that I need to focus on, and my family knows that. And so when the door is closed, unless it's some kind of big emergency, they're not supposed to come in and talk to me, so that I can stay focused on the thing that I am trying to do. So setting up some of those rules and some of those boundaries is also going to allow you to get into the flow of those things. Next is going to be the power of prioritizing. So by this, what I mean is having a list of your top priorities. And you can do this really easily. Just pen and paper. You could use an app to do that. We'll get into apps here in just a second. But having that list of priorities for the things that you are going to work on is going to help you get back into flow a little bit more quickly. Part of that 23 minutes and 15 seconds that we lose is trying to remember, what was I working on? Oh yeah, that would be, I should probably do this thing as well. That project, I've got to think about that. And your mind is trying to get back into flow. It's trying to remember what you need to be working on. And if you have this list of priorities, and not just a to-do list, not a huge to-do list, but a list of your top like 1 to 3 priorities that you need to work on, you're going to look at that list and say, I need to finish this email to my boss. And then you're going to write that email to your boss. Not write your type your email to your boss. And you're going to get that out the door to them because it's on your list of priorities. It's the thing that you need to do. I need to work on, so I work in Visio quite a bit at my full-time job. So I need to work on building out this workflow process inside of Visio. Or I work with data a lot. I need to get in and I need to analyze this data, and I need to create a summary of the data. Whatever it is that you need to do, make sure you have that written down on a list so that you have this priority list, so that when you do get interrupted, because it's going to happen, you know where to go. You have this habit. You look at the list. I need to do this thing. Go back and start working on it. It's going to reduce that 23 minutes and 15 seconds, cut it down in half or maybe even less, because you're able to get back in the flow of things, because your mind's not wondering, what was it that I need to do? What are all the things that I need to do? How do I prioritize those things? You've already done it up front, and it's going to help you out through the process. Then the next one is going to be using technology as you go along this process. I have another YouTube channel where I can take breaks, and this is a live session, so sorry for like the dead air there. The next one is going to be using technology as your ally as you are working to get into the process of kind of getting over your interruptions. And there's 2 ways you can do that. Number 1 is going to be the do not disturb feature on your phone. If you have it, well, everybody has it. There's different ways to do it. You have an iPhone or certain Android phones. You have the way to click it into Do Not Disturb, so you're not going to get notified. If you got a smartwatch, put it on Do Not Disturb. Take the watch off when you're working, whatever it is that you need to do, so that you don't have that distraction. It could be any number of things. There's a way for you to hit Do Not Disturb, especially if you are in a time when you need focus. You've got a 2-hour project that you need to do, and you need to dive deep into it. Let people around you know. Turn your stuff on Do Not Disturb and sit down and focus and get it done. It's actually one of my strengths that I have, is the ability to focus on things like that. So it's something that I know I'm good at. I can do. I know some of you watching this are not going to have that ability, and that's okay. But taking away some of these distractions and using technology as your ally is going to help you through that process regardless. And the other one is going to be applications. So you can use time management applications, using something like Todoist for your priority list, or using your calendar to time block off buffer times and times that you're going to be working on certain other projects, or even something like Trello or Asana that's going to be project management, and you can kind of integrate that with your calendar, is also going to help you through that process and prioritizing your work and helping you get back and be effective with it. So that's what I wanted to chat with you about today in our live coaching session. If you're still here and you have any comments or tips and tricks of what you've done to deal with interruptions, please comment them down below, and I'll get to those here in just a second. But I just wanted to quickly recap what we have talked about here in today's video. We've been talking about interruptions and how to deal with them in your day. And the first one is to just realize that interruptions happen, and it's okay, that you need to handle and deal with those interruptions. Next is the cost of those interruptions. It takes you 23 minutes and 15 seconds to get back into the flow of working on something. And then we talked about planning for interruptions, the power of prioritizing, and also the use of technology as your ally in your fight against those interruptions that are going to come up. If you found this helpful, make sure you like the video, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notified when we do these live coaching sessions. Excited to have you here, go on your journey. Also, make sure you get over to brandongustafson.com/5P so that you can have access to the 5 Ps to effective personal development. Get on that email list so that you get notified every time with those tips and tricks that we have on a weekly basis. And also remember, brandongustafson.com. We are here to help you transform your life your way. Thanks for watching and have a great day.